Well, Ann Coulter, of course, a best-selling author. Have you got her book, In Trump We Trust? That is still the best Trump book out there, In Trump We Trust. And you can get her latest column and all that. You can be the first to get it if you go to AnnCoulter.com and sign up there. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. So what do you think about Kathy Griffin? I think she saw Colbert take off, and she said, let me capture that Trump-hating audience all in one fell swoop.
Yes, and there is rarely any pushback for anything, no matter how ugly it is. She, I don't think, is particularly funny. She's just guilted gays because of her loyalty into pretending to think she's funny. I don't even think gays think she's funny, but that's basically been her career. And I really do think this is quite ugly. I mean, beheadings are going on in the world, and that's a really disgusting photo. I have to keep averting my eyes when I see it. I suppose you saw, which is really sad. And I don't like treacly stuff, but young Barron Trump saw it and thought it was really his dad.
You have to live in Hollywood to be able to have a room full of photographers, assistants, and people where nobody would say, hey, wait a minute, did you think about this?
I was thinking about that. I was imagining the people in the room saying, oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome. Ha ha, this is so funny. No, it's really creepy.
Yeah, but they live in that bubble. They just don't know. You know, like when you're in the bubble, like in New York or Washington or L.A., these people don't know what, like, you ever hear these people say to you, we're being laughed at all over the world. Well, every time I see him with a world leader, it looks like they either really love him and respect him or they're terrified of him. I don't see anybody laughing at him.
No, I know. I also just love, you have perfectly encapsulated the coastal elite who couldn't care less what, you know, an overweight Walmart shopper fellow American thinks of them. They've gotten so sick of blue-collar Americans, but, you know, they can't look themselves in the mirror if they think a Parisian is looking down his nose at them.
Well, that's true. You know, I found this site. You can look at every newspaper in America. And if you look at the cover of every major...
that's called the Internet.
Well, no, but there's like Newseum has one link where you can, it puts them all up on one page. You can see all the papers. Except for New York, L.A., and Washington. There's no Jared Kushner stories. There's no Russia stories. It's about real news. It's only the New York Times, Washington Post, where they cover all this nonsense.
Well, it is interesting that a country close to the United States, unlike, say, Crimea or Ukraine, to say nothing of Germany, Venezuela is totally falling apart. It's a complete disaster, obviously, from these socialist solutions that work so well in you know, Eastern Europe, Russia, China, every place they've been tried. The country's falling apart. Riots. People are taking refuge in malls. And the Media Research Center did a study on how much coverage Venezuela is getting on ABC, NBC, CBS, and it's basically nothing. They're not even mentioning it. It's right here. It's in our hemisphere. With a strong boat, you could get there. So there's that. And, Kushner, well, I'm writing about that this week. In fact, later today, the column will go up. What's strange about it is... the media might actually be, you know, Elmer Fudd-like, stumbling onto at least the pretense of a story, the appearance of impropriety with Jared Kushner meeting, not with a Russian ambassador particularly, but this odd meeting with a Russian banker, neither of which, dozens of meetings that he didn't include on his security clearance forms. I'm not saying that anything was done wrong, but all of the pieces to a normal person, I keep reading these articles and the facts come out inadvertently, and I think, well, okay, that's something that should be looked at. But the media can't even see what's right in front of their faces because all they can think of is, yes, but how does this fit into the Russia colluded with the Trump campaign story? They so will not give up on that. You know, Trump could shoot someone on the front lawn of the White House, and they'd try to figure out how that fits into their theory that Russia colluded with Trump.
Hey, Hillary's campaign manager, John Podesta, took a $30 million loan from a Russia bank. I imagine there must have been a lot of meetings to get that loan. And you tell that to anybody, they go, like it's nothing.
When did he get the loan?
He's the director of a small company in Massachusetts, and this company in Massachusetts got a $30 million loan from a major Russian bank.
Oh, right. No, you're just, yes, exactly.
Well,
compared to their Russian hysteria, Trump is right, or whomever said
well, are we supposed to believe in Moscow? They were saying, find a small company in Massachusetts. Let's put money there.
But who cares as long as he's not working for the government, not to mention an unfireable son-in-law of the President of the United States. I mean, you do at least have the appearance of corruption here. But again, it doesn't matter. That would be like breaking news for the media, the words I just put together in combination, because they are totally blowing that up off. For example, their obsession with the secret channel to Russia, the secret channel. Of course there are secret channels. Everybody's had secret channels to other governments. There's absolutely nothing to that. And again, meanwhile, they have an appearance of impropriety, at least, sitting right in front of them, and no one wants to ask, wait, why would you meet with a Russian banker? They just go on and on and on about their Russian collusion story. It really is a strange monomania that has seized American journalists. Everything has to be fit into, how is Steve Bannon behind this? What did the alt-right do? How is Putin involved?
And Coulter, I'm confused, though. Wait a minute. He's colluding with Russia for a year and a half, and then after that, he's still trying to set up a channel to talk to them. Wouldn't you have to do that first?
Fair point. Yes. No, none of it makes sense. They have not a shred of evidence for it. I want to start investigations into, whether Elizabeth Warren has secret ties to ISIS.
But
it's well established that she pays her female staffers less. That would be, consistent with ISIS's views that women shouldn't leave the home. We need to investigate if John McCain is a serial killer. No, I have no more evidence than they do for the Russia collusion story, but look at his eyes. I mean, that's something. This is the level we're operating at, and they use the argument that there's no evidence to say, well, that's exactly why we need an investigation. Well, okay, what doesn't need an investigation, and why not whether John McCain is a serial killer?
Well, and we've never seen media so out of control, biased, and so out of touch with the American public. Can you imagine a guy who's working 2 jobs? He lives in Ohio, and he puts on Lester Holt tonight, and the big lead story is, we might pull out of the Paris Climate Accords. like this is going to affect him.
No, I know. The global warming stuff. I was looking up something else on Nexus last week, but in order to do that, I was reading widely from newspapers from, let's see, I guess it was the 80s and 90s. And you'd still come across, because it was a very broad search I did, all these articles about, if we don't do something about global warming, the Earth will end tomorrow. This has been going on for 50 years. I mean, the year after year this goes by, the claims that the apocalypse is coming. Even if you don't really care about global warming, and if you've never given it a moment's thought, people can't keep saying the world is ending for 50 years and still have people believe, no, it's going to end next week if we don't do anything.
Hey, Al Gore made a movie where he shows you how the ocean is going to come and wipe out 2 states. And I swear to God, this Al Gore just spent $9 million buying a house on the ocean. Yes,
and I do think that is a different form of liberals' greatest sin, hypocrisy. It's one thing to have a moral standard that you can't always live up to yourself. But this is, if you really believe it, you wouldn't do that. That isn't, oops, I slipped and built and flew a private airplane. I was trying to live up to my standards. No, that just proves they don't believe it themselves. And I believe I was not in, grade school when An Inconvenient Truth came out, so I didn't see it 700 times. I didn't see it one time. But I gather that all those states were going to be flooded if we didn't act and act fast. Well, Mark Simone, we in fact did not act fast, slowly, any other way, and none of the states have been flooded.
Yeah.
So again, how many times can they say the world is going to end if we don't do anything by, well, tomorrow? And then tomorrow comes and goes, and another year goes by, and another decade goes by, and 3 decades go by. I mean, just a normal person listening to this hysteria. And you're totally right. I was listening to, I think it was CNN earlier today, and all of the nuts were on the panel were agreeing, well, there's a scientific consensus. There's never been such a consensus. Every single scientist in the entire world agrees. These appeals to authority and endless hectoring is really getting insane.
Well, hey, everybody check out AnnCoulter.com, and you can get her book there, In Trump We Trust. And the new column is about to come out, but if you go to AnnCoulter.com and sign up, you'll be the first to get it. Also, follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and Facebook and all of that. And Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
Take care.